Hello YouTube, it's Neveros again. We're back with another video. RevSaysDesu reaction again. I saw this. I know this VTuber, Vex VTuber. She's blocked me. Um, Obviously I had an opinion she didn't like very much, so let's see what's going on now. I don't really know what the story is, so I just want to see what's up.
Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So in this video, I'll be talking about a pretty funny situation involving a VTuber named Vex. We have briefly talked about this individual before. They are quite unhinged.
Yeah,
A lot of the stuff they do on
well that's
social
being kind.
media is very aggressive and hypocritical, and we're seeing that happen yet again after they made this self-described nuanced post about men, saying the only men who get offended when someone says all men are the men we're talking about, by the way. So we'll get into the...
So if you asked her what, if you used that and flipped men to women, would she get offended? And would that then mean that she's the type that you're talking about?
rhetorical fallacy here, and how this VTuber gets very upset when people take their logic and extend it to other intrinsic traits to make a generalized blanket statement about them.
Yeah,
But
they
of
don't like
course,
when you
they're
do
going
that.
to play the victim. They essentially pick a fight against an entire gender, and when their logic starts to fall apart and they start looking unhinged, they make it a big cry fest for themselves while telling people to choke and saying
Free block list. Oh no. Anyway.
everyone is racist. Now, this individual, like I said, is pretty unhinged. They have a history of saying some pretty heinous stuff, including this all-time classic from January of this year, saying F you, F ICE, F your God, F your mother for birthing you, F your father for not dumping you in a sock. Your mom should have used a coat hanger, you effing troglodyte. F off and go beat your D to your sister. Now that...
I'm remembering a Limp Bizkit song. I don't know, there's... Can't think why. If you know Limp Bizkit at all, you know exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah, can't think why.
last part is very strange. I don't know why this person is thinking of something like that, let alone encouraging someone to do that. Very strange. But you can see overall, they're a pretty heinous individual when it comes to the posts they make on Twitter. Now, a few days after that, they tried to change their ways. They made this long-winded post saying they're going to do better and they're going to stop being so hostile towards people online. Well, that didn't last very long. Within the next couple of weeks, there was a spurg out here where she started replying to a bunch of different people in a very short period of time, not with words, but instead with memes and pictures where she wants people to be put in their grave.
What's this? You're not a good prostitute as a prostitute should be. Urge to put this guy in his place. Grave. Yeah, totally normal. An online whore talking about predator, this and that when you are the one selling your lewds to anyone online. I'm excited for this guy to go missing. I don't like him. Again, completely normal. Proof someone has no arguments to give is when they resort to curses, by the way. Silence, hetero. Yeah, these people don't realize that being heterosexual is their actual default setting. Jeez.
She wants people to go missing. She also wants to go get a gun in response to someone criticizing her. And also said people better relax or she'll fold you while your clothes are still on, and also silence.
Bitch, you can't even fold clothes, probably.
Hetero, which, you know, that sort of slop we see all the time. And of course, when they are confronted with this bloodthirsty set of rhetoric, she says they're just memes. I mean, the intellectual dishonesty is pretty profound. I guess if you send something in a meme format, you can't be accountable for what the message is saying. Ridiculous, but...
Yeah, and so do the same thing to her, right? send similar messages to her, but put them in meme format and see how triggered she gets.
But their hatred knows no bounds. They hate white people.
Also, she said in a previous post that she was going to endeavor to be better. The sad part is that this is her being better.
Despite being one, and as I always say, being a self-hating white person is very sad. They have been completely indoctrinated by all this nonsense to the point of hating themselves for an intrinsic trait they had no choice over.
Yeah.
But they also clarify
hating people over an immutable characteristic is stupid.
That you can't be racist against white people. Now, for this person who makes self-described nuanced posts, I guess they should open up the definition of racism and point to where it says there's an exception for white people. I know, very bigoted of me to say this, but I don't think anybody should be treated poorly or differently because of the color of their skin and other intrinsic traits they have no control over. We should treat everyone the same. We shouldn't make exceptions to be abusive towards people based on what skin color they have. I know, very bigoted take from me, but
yeah,
of course,
unless they earn it somehow.
Don't like men, very clearly saying they don't want to go out in public anymore because they hate men, which is also ironic for someone who hates law enforcement so much. But also,
well, darling, men hate you as well, so
they say men aren't lonely enough. They also say they want the confidence of mediocre white men. And when people have an issue with that, they say, now that's what I call male fragility, which...
It's amazing that even our mediocre ones outshine you. We really are just superior. That's not fragility.
It's in a meme format, so don't get mad about that. It's in a meme format. Let me make that clear. It doesn't count. But of course, they weren't done after their history of clearly having an issue with men in a very general sense. They decided to come out with this, again, self-described nuanced post saying the only men who get offended when someone...
nuanced, and I'm remembering Inigo from The Princess Bride. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Says all men are the men we're talking about, by the way. Now, of course, people in the replies will extend their logic into other categories of intrinsic traits and make generalized statements based on that. And Vex does not like when that happens, but
no, they never do.
This is a rhetorical fallacy that you should be aware of. It's called the Kafka trap. Okay, it's where you make a statement. You accuse someone or a group of people of something, and then if you deny that by the user's logic, you're now guilty of what they're saying. It's very, very disingenuous, and that's exactly what's happening here. And of course, if they're faced with generalized statements about other intrinsic traits, I guess they're not allowed to say anything about it, otherwise they're part of the problem by their own logic. And of course, that's exactly what happened, where one user said all blacks are violent, making a generalized stereotype statement, extending the logic of X in this previous post, and clearly not understanding what's happening here. They reply saying, get your racist behind the F on somewhere else. And she literally did the meme. She literally did the meme. This is a consistently viral screenshot that shows up all the time. Where one user said, when
that
I
is
say
awesome.
End all men, I really mean all. And someone says, even George Floyd. And they go, literally, what is wrong with you? It happened again, ladies and gentlemen, but we can see a further description of their nuanced take, because one user would say, I always like the phrase, a hit dog hollers.
What does that mean? Let me see. What does a hit dog hollers mean? If you make a general remark or veiled criticism, the person who reacts defensively or gets angry is usually the one it applies to. Yeah, well, that's exactly what she is. She's the hit dog and she doesn't even know it. Isn't that funny?
And she says this, co-signing that logic. Now, of course, I know what people mean when they say a hit dog hollers, but think about that statement. People use it all the time. A dog hollers when it hits? You know, like when Kaya got shocked by Hassan, it yelps. You know, like when something bad happens, like getting hits.
Free Kaya.
Person or dog in this case.
Dogtober 7.
What does that mean? But the way they use it is that if someone says something and you deny it, clearly you're guilty of whatever they're trying to say or accuse you of. And of course, I guess hit dogs holler when you have this sort of response to someone using your own logic against you.
Yep.
And when this
she's the hit dog and she doesn't even realize it. That's the sad part. But folks like this don't typically have self-awareness anyway.
User says you got cooked. They say, no, I don't speak to racist pieces of garbage. I win by default, choke, which is a not so subtle way of telling this person to have their life ended, obviously. But of course, their logic makes no sense. I think a lot of their responses are very impulsive on social media. It's like they always want to have the final word on everything. They respond to everything. And this is what happens. You say, I don't speak to racist pieces of garbage. So I guess these users are not racist by your own logic because you spoke to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, again, just impulsive posts, make no sense. And of course, she'll be mad about that extension of her own logic because it's stupid. But yeah, that's precisely it. These statements are stupid, and people are just using your logic and your own words against you.
Because this sort of thing happens because this person knows just enough. They know an ideology, but there's no thought, there's no depth to it. It's all just surface level knowledge. They know the ideology, but the minute you start picking it apart, the minute you start asking questions, even as an ally, and I've been there so I know this very well, the minute you start asking questions and really trying to understand the ideology, they turn on you because they don't actually have any clue about what they're talking. They don't know beyond what they're spewing out onto social media. They have no practical understanding of it. All they know is how to parrot the talking points. That's it. And you may have heard the phrase, if you've watched anything from Jordan Peterson, you may have heard the phrase ideologically possessed. And that is exactly what these people are, which is also why you can, the minute you can say something, you can almost predict word for word what their response is going to be. And that is because you understand the ideology, you know how they work it, but they don't. And so their responses are predictable because they're ideologically possessed.
And of course, if you don't want to talk to racists, maybe don't talk to yourself because you have this hatred of white people. You can't be racist against them, of course. Expected with virtue signalers like this. But of course, you can see another person trying desperately to clarify what's happening and why people are making fun of her and why she's a hypocrite. This user says, he just used your own logic against you, and by your own logic, the fact that you got triggered means you're the problem he's talking about.
Yep.
The fact that this went over your head is the real problem here. And then Vex says, just say you're part of the problem, bro. You're the men we're talking about.
Again, this comes back to me, this sounds a lot like what Yuri Bezmenov said about I think it was demoralization. He said, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who is demoralized is unable to assess true information. Even if I shower him with information, he will refuse to believe it. That is the tragedy of the situation of demoralization. It's shortened there and whatnot, but I'll bugger off. I don't want your ads and stuff. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him a concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When the military boot crushes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. Same situation. This person is so demoralized, and I'm not sure why he used that particular word, but this person is so, let's call it brainwashed or mind broken, that they're either entirely unable or they're entirely unwilling to see the fact that John Snavely here has then said. That they're just using your logic against you. And oh well, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's the really sad part. And for me, that's like the engine's running, but there's nobody behind the wheel.
So we're extending it, guys. We're actually going beyond the Kafka trap.
Yep.
Okay, it's not just people disagreeing with a generalized statement who are being caught up as part of the problem. It's even people questioning the foundational logic and how it's being applied in ways the original poster didn't want it to, which was a natural extension of their logic. Even doing that, even questioning the foundational logic behind all this, gets you labeled as part of the problem. It's insane. But we're not done.
Yeah.
Another user trying to clarify, saying, so it's okay to stereotype, got it. And then she says, it's a generalization based on statistics.
So it's a stereotype.
If you're part of the stereotype, then cry. Come on. You don't see how this could be extended to other groups of people with intrinsic traits they didn't choose, right? Just making generalizations based on statistics, and if you have a problem with that, you're part of the problem. Do you not see that's how all of this began in the first place? Like, there is no self-awareness. The lights are on, but nobody's home.
Yeah, the engine's
Terrible
running, but there's
stuff.
nobody behind the wheel.
But then you can see people just pointing out, it's annoying when you generalize. I know you're not talking about me, but it's an obnoxious thing to say. And even someone saying, I get you, but it's just annoying to generalize. It's not good enough. So then she says, then hold the men we are talking about accountable. If it doesn't apply to you, you shouldn't be offended by a blanket statement about someone's gender. Well, yes, you should never be offended.
You see, even that, it doesn't work because, oh, if it doesn't apply to you, you shouldn't be offended by a blanket statement. We can forget about the other people's gender, so let's run a couple blanket statements that maybe don't apply to me but still offend me. All black people are murderers. All Muslims are rapists and pedophiles. Just two. But you can now ask Vex what she would say to that. She would probably call you a racist and an Islamophobe and all kinds of other things and tell you that you're a piece of shit. But Vex, if it doesn't apply to you, then why are you offended?
About a blanket statement regarding someone's gender. Again, keep that in mind, but someone tries to explain again. If it's okay to generalize men based on statistics, I have to assume you think the same of black people, which is really telling about your character. And she has no response other than saying LOL no. And then the other user says, they are both generalizations that you can make using statistics. And then her response is, bad people are bad people. Pointing out the color of their skin is a you problem. F off.
So bad people are bad people. Pointing out their gender is a you problem.
And go be racist somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So she is missing the point entirely, and
Yep.
The user clarifies saying, who said anything about my opinions or thoughts? I sure didn't. All I did was change the category from men to black, from sex to race. That is all I did. And you still can't comprehend why I did that. It's actually hilarious.
Yep.
Like, you can spell it out. I don't know if she's just that disingenuous. She is intentionally ignoring what people are trying to do here, or she's just that clueless. She doesn't see it. Either way, it's really embarrassing.
You know, I don't think she actually sees it. Neither is actually a good look, because whichever way you slice it, it's not a good look for her, because if she doesn't see it, then there's a total lack of self-awareness, and there's not a lot of brain processing power here. She cannot wrap her mind around the concept that she's actually espousing. But if she refuses to, then she's just closed-minded and foolish. Perhaps you'll laugh, but Farengar in Skyrim had one of the most poignant lines I've ever heard in a video game. He says, "One sure mark of a fool is to dismiss anything that falls outside of his own experience as being impossible." And he's absolutely right.
And of course, people are now extending it to women, making statements like this, calling all women promiscuous then. And then she says, that's not a nuanced statement, so no.
Neither is all men are jerks.
You just hate women at that point, and this user, with the steel chair response, says, you are one of them. Yeah, you're part of the problem, I guess. Yep. Dogs holler, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is, again, an extension of her own logic, and she's triggered by it, basically becoming a part of the problem by her own design. It's crazy.
And she doesn't see it. I don't, like Rev said, I don't know if she can't or won't, but she doesn't get it. I don't know how she doesn't, but she doesn't.
We see some, what is this, dark woke? Is this the dark woke people talk about, where they can, like, make insults that are normally offensive, but they're doing it wokely? One person says all women are valueless. And she says, I mean, if you feel that way, I'm assuming you're gay, which is perfectly acceptable. So basically, this is their woke way of calling this user a homo.
So it's okay to be misogynistic if you're gay. Fuck. Oh my god.
No, but then saying, oh, whoa. It's perfectly okay. Like, we understand what they're doing here, right? They're trying to make this insult, but wokely, while also making sure that everyone knows they're okay with it, while also using it as an insult. It's very hypocritical. But then again, she also called someone slow, which again is a woke way of trying to call someone regarded, I guess. But then, of course, she's not done. She starts quoting herself and then quoting her quotes to really make sure everyone knows her nuanced take, saying, free block list in the replies here, saying that I hate men is not the same as being blatantly racist. Choke. So once again, telling people to choke, to presumably lose their life over arguments.
Totally normal response. Absolutely rational.
They clarify in another post saying, I hate men. Then people ask, why are you dating one? And she says, I'm not talking about my man. I said I hate men, not my man. Oh, he's one of the good ones, I guess.
Yeah.
Did she not understand?
Which, for a person like this, means he's a doormat and a simp, and I mean, she does sexually explicit content online, and he's okay with it. So, means he's got absolutely no self-respect, no pride, and he very likely lets her walk all over him.
How this is applied to other groups of people based on their intrinsic characteristics they did not choose at birth, like, it's insane. And again, she's talked about men before, and she's dating a white guy, and let's hope he grants her the confidence of mediocre white men.
Oh, she's got that in spades.
But she does the classic thing. Okay, how many times have we seen this, right? You have someone who basically picks a fight with an entire gender, and when they start finding out, they start making themselves the victim, they start intentionally misrepresenting the situation, and then post a selfie for engagement and to get validation from strangers online.
Well, at least she's an actual woman by the look of it. No surprise to see the Karen glasses and the nose ring.
So they do exactly that. in quote saying, if you're mad about me saying all blacks are violent, you must be black and violent, end quotes, not understanding that this entire situation is just an application of her own logic and she doesn't like the results. And then of course she adds on saying, no, I'm not a racist piece of filth. It's that simple. Of course, given her own history of being racist towards white people, very hypocritical. But then people use the shoe on head meme from one of her recent videos, and she has an issue with that because she believes she is not doing the act of prostitution and tells people to shut their dumb behind mouth. And of course, we know that a big part of her content is doing adult content, right? Like that's her primary form of income.
Was not interesting or entertaining enough to not have to show whole.
That's her main thing. And it seems to be a very sensitive topic for her, where she is constantly promoting it, and honestly diabolical, right? Just promoting it, trying to sell it, and getting 24 likes. Brutal.
Yeah.
But of course, they have a history of mocking people for being broke or unable to afford her adult content, which is very ironic, and I'll show why in a second. But here's a post from only a year ago saying, the men screaming and crying in my replies about how much my content costs. How does it make you feel knowing you can't afford to even look at me? Oh, what a narcissist. That's actually insane.
So, Vex, how does it feel to know that you can't make any money without these guys buying your stuff that you have to put up online? Yeah, before you throw shade at them for actually having the money to, or even questioning the cost of what they're buying from you, maybe you should look inward and think, without them, you wouldn't be where you are now.
You didn't make $900 a week at your job, let alone in a day. Is she trying to flex $900 a week? Which is not only cringe and just, I mean, like, what?
Yeah, $900. That if she makes $900 a week, it's because of men buying her shit.
But also, for someone, I mean, if you're familiar with her account, it is a constant series of tweets, almost daily, asking for money, asking for crowdsourcing, asking for emergency streams, emergency funds. And she says that's based on a lot of her health needs, and if that's even true, okay, fine. You can absolutely ask for money, but then don't go around flexing how much money you have and then poor shaming people who, by the way, are your customers and a lot of the problem men that you're mocking in your tweets. The irony is palpable, biting the hand that feeds, but she's not done with this entire topic. Another post. If you need 15 tweets to explain your nuanced post, maybe it's not
that nuanced,
maybe it's
yeah.
just stupid. But basically, they try to get into this entire breakdown, and you know what? I ain't got time for this. Blah, 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 blah. All you had to say was harmful people bad, but instead you said all men, and got triggered when people applied your own logic to other categories you didn't want to see happen, right? That's all there is to it. But you know what? Hit dogs holler, as they say.
Yeah.
But of course, you can see they don't like people farming drama. Now, of course, they're allowed to farm drama on Twitter and get into controversy every 2 seconds. But of course, they talk about VTubers and content creators who do drama slop reactionary content. And they're mad because they spread misinformation and slander. And you know what? If you have an issue with my video, please take it up with yourself, because this entire video was just showcasing your own tweets. That's all this entire video was. If you're mad about this coverage, look in the mirror, because all I'm doing is showing your own public tweets. They look bad enough on their own, but they look even worse when you compare them to other posts that make you hypocritical. That's like the entire situation. So if you have a problem with my video, you should probably look in the mirror, because this is all about you. But anyways, that's going to do for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please consider giving the video a like, consider subscribing, and turning on notifications for daily uploads, as well as multiple streams a week live here on YouTube. And I'll see you guys next time.
Bye, Rev. Thanks very much. Yeah, so that was that. It was about what I expected. I've had run-ins with this Vex person before, and well, she is the Moss Isley of VTubers. And if you get that reference, we can absolutely be friends. Anyway, that'll do it for this video. Link to the original video will be down below. Be sure to check it out if you want to. Drop by for my Poggers shop and Starforge. You'll be helping me out a lot if you do end up getting stuff there. But I'm getting some Poggers myself. I'll let you guys know. I'll do like maybe an unboxing and taste test and stuff and whatnot, and so we can maybe see how that works out. But it's got to get here first, so that's going to be announced. So anyway, take care, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.